I didn't find that texture streaming improved my frame rate, but it might improve yours. So you might as well enable it because other people in the community are claiming it's helped them. So what it is CSGO's got a new graphics option, known as texture streaming. This beta is compatible with matchmaking and stuff, so you might as well activate it now by right-clicking on CSGO in Steam, Properties, Betas, and then by selecting Texture Streaming Beta. This isn't enough though. You must also enable it in the video options. It's the third one down, hidden between Texture Detail and Effect Detail. This beta does this. It just means that it loads stuff in a more optimized way, hopefully allowing for smoother frame rates with fewer stutters. Or at least that's what I'd assume it should do. But it had no impact on my PC. The only difference I saw was that, when teleported to a new part of a level, stuff would look all blurry and smooshy, before it's quickly swapped out for higher quality textures. This sort of optimization is commonplace in games these days, and normally once this has happened, it's loaded for the rest of the game. Of course, this is assuming the implementation of it is good. It would be horribly noticeable and common in the early days of Rage, and maybe from time to time in games like the new Doom. The plus side is, it might yield better performance if your system is old, slow, or using normal RAM instead of graphics RAM. I didn't even bother to test this on my main setup. I instead jumped over to my Ryzen 2200G, since if any computer's going to see an improvement, it'd be this one. But it didn't. The 2200G is an APU. This means it's a CPU and GPU all in one. The beauty of this is that it enables you to build a gaming PC on a super low budget. It cost me about £90 a few years ago. The downside is, you can't expect high-tier performance from it. The CPU is a 4-core Ryzen, and its graphics comprises of 8 Vega cores, integrated into the same chip. That's a lot of stuff in a small space. And that's why most APUs and integrated graphics are so slow, you wouldn't even bother gaming on them. If you broke into my house, got up in my face and whispered, "Integrated graphics," I'd recoil in horror as I suffered traumatic flashbacks of experiences with gaming on 10-year-old laptops or an office PC somewhere. But these days, the experience doesn't have to be bad, and they can certainly be powerful enough to power CSGO smoothly. The 2200G was one of the first to be powerful enough to be considered a budget gaming option, and I still believe it's good enough. If I had to buy 8 PCs for an upcoming LAN, then this would make it financially feasible, whilst still allowing people to play whatever game they wanted, albeit with lower graphics options. Although it might sound like it, this video is not an advert for AMD. It's just that you need to understand this stuff for this video. So when you've got a CPU and GPU crammed inside something this small, there's not a lot of space. Some things have to be left out. Among others, the memory. A graphics card tends to come with RAM of its own. This is super fast stuff. Modern GPUs normally have about 8 GB of this stuff, but APUs have 0. They have to share your PC's memory, which is much slower and further away. If it has to load, say, more textures, then that's going to impact performance more dramatically. That's why you'd expect texture streaming to make a big difference on an APU like the 2200G, especially if I use the bare minimum amount of memory. But it didn't. I tested it with 2 sticks of RAM totaling 16 GB and just 1 stick totaling 8. Not only is 8 slower, but it also totally cripples the 2200G because it halves the memory bandwidth, making it even slower to load textures and stuff, which I thought would be perfect to see how much enabling texture streaming would be able to help. More on that in a bit. Let's discuss how I chose to benchmark the game. When testing something new like this, I don't really know what to expect, so I did 4 60-second long tests. Me running about Dust 2 at low settings, the benchmark at low settings, the benchmark at high settings, and me running about a huge map like Sirocco, with bots. You can see just how much slower it gets if I switch from 16 to just 8 GB of RAM here. If you're gaming on an APU, get dual channel memory. So that's the difference the RAM configuration makes out of the way. Onto the difference that texture streaming makes. When I had just 1 stick of RAM, it looked like enabling this beta option might even have slowed the game down in a number of the benchmarks. We're only talking about 2 or so FPS here, but when the frame rates are so low in the first place, that can equate to about 5%. But when I redid these, any differences between the results disappeared or changed completely, so I was happy to write that off as random noise. The only other interesting result I got was on Dust 2 with 16 GB of RAM, where enabling texture streaming gave me significantly higher performance. Wow, I immediately tested it on Inferno as well, and although it didn't improve it quite so much, it still seemed somewhat faster after this update. That was great news because it's difficult to justify a video like this when no change was found, even though no change at all is still a result with value. It's just that, as a viewer, negative findings don't exactly help you to improve your game. So these Dust 2 and Inferno results, they look promising, don't they? If I had only tested them and got these results, I'd be shouting about how great this update is all across Reddit. So I tested them again, just to be sure, along with some other maps, because why not? I reset between every run, testing before and after the beta update, and of course ensuring that the video option was enabled when it should have been. And suddenly there was no performance boost anymore. The average, minimum and maximum frame rates came within a few frames every time. Sometimes having no texture streaming was the marginally faster one. That's really disheartening to see. So all in all, even on a slow Ryzen 2200G that should have been the sort to benefit most from the texture streaming, it didn't help at all. I'm sorry for the boring result. But don't let that stop you. If you're getting subpar performance, this might be the miracle update that you need. Let me know in the comments section how you get on with it with your own testing.